Chapter 3, The Family Tree. Family means a lot to me, so I figured why not take a break from the school stories and we could talk about my family. I hope you guys enjoy. You're going to hear some funny things, some random things, and some things you've never heard about me before. Hopefully. Hopefully they're all good. I don't know. But, you're going to hear some funny memories from me. So enjoy. I am the youngest of my family. I have two older brothers, one named Brian and another named Tom. They toughened me up when I was a kid so I didn't get messed with, and they always said if I got messed with, I always had backup. But they always gave me that hard exterior shell, not to take crap from anybody. Brian and I always have a lot of good memories with each other. One of the memories that always jumps to mind when we talk about being kids is me and him like to try and do wrestling moves on each other. Last chapter I talked about how me and Corey Perry emulated promos. Well, me and my brother emulated the moves, even though back in their times they said do not try this at home, you can injure or kill yourself. We just wanted to try the moves to see if, they're probably just lying, they're probably just making it up. I remember my brother would always be like, hey Damian, let me try this power bomb on you. Sure, it's not really safe, but let me just try it on you, man. And I enjoyed it. At the time I was like, yeah, go ahead, man. I could survive a power bomb on the bed, and I would be like, yeah, this is cool. And my brother even tried the submissions on me. I remember one time when he would get me on the floor and he would say, okay, I'm going to put you in an armbar, let's say. And there was this thing called the ropes. And in wrestling, the ropes are where you can let go of the submission because, you got to, get out of the submission zone kind of thing. It's kind of weird. So if you get to the ropes, they have to let go. So he would say, okay, here's the ropes. And at first, the ropes are at a reasonable setting. They're at a reasonable pace. And I was like, okay. So he would put me in the armbar. I would get to the ropes, and then he would move the ropes. So it would be further and further away from my arm's reach. And so I'm either going to have to tap, or I might even hurt my arm. But he didn't have it on that tight. But still, you keep moving and moving the ropes, and I'm going to either have to tap or, separate something. He'd always do that as a mean trick. But I remember one time we had to stop because my mom came in and my brother was lifting me up for a power bomb, and she's like, what are you lifting your brother up for a power bomb for? You trying to kill him? That's dangerous, They put that on there for a reason. But we were just having fun, We were always trying to emulate the wrestlers. And we didn't do that for too long. I think we did that for a couple years. And then when I got more physically disabled, as in the fact I couldn't do that stuff anymore, I didn't, do that as much. Another one of my favorite memories was around summertime, and my brother wanted to play sword fighting with me. I don't know if it was knights or if we just wanted to sword fight. Now, picture this. I'm in this tiny chair, right? And he gives me a sword. I don't remember what it's made of, but it was something he made. He gives me a sword. He gets a sword. My mom comes out and she says, what are you doing with your brother? We're playing swords. And my mom says, that's not right. Your brother can't get away. And his response always makes me chuckle. He said, oh, well, I gave him a sword so he could fight. Well, hello, I'm not the most physically able, but, he just wanted me to be normal. He didn't treat me like, an extraterrestrial or somebody different. He treated me like a normal brother would. And so when he was doing that sword fight and stuff, he wasn't being like, oh, I gotta modify it, he just wanted to treat me normal. And that's always something I always laugh about, because I didn't know how to swing a sword very well at the time, so I'm pretty sure if it would have commenced, it would have got pretty bad because I'm not the most physically able. As we've gotten older, my brother, he's become more of the wisdom type, giving me wisdom on what not to do in life. Hey, watch out for this. Don't always do this. This is bad. He just kind of guides me, make sure I don't step in a trap of some sort, I guess you could say. Same goes for Tom. He's been like that ever since that, he's been a kid kind of thing. He'll give me advice, be the older brother kind of thing. Now, Tom, we call him the giant in our family because he's 6'3". I mean, this guy could, if he wanted to, he could play in the NBA if he, really tried. And he's really good at cooking. He's good at pretty much everything he puts his mind to. I remember, he always makes these good dishes, and I remember when I was a kid, like, he would always read. He was really into reading. He would read, like, these westerns. He had, like, a book full of them, and he'd always tell me about them. And I think that's why I got really into reading, besides school. He'd always be like, oh, here's this western book. I remember reading one of his westerns. I can't remember what it was, but I do remember reading one of his westerns. And, Tom's always, more of the intellectual, theoretical types. He's really smart. He knows what he wants to do, and he has a brain that, many people could only dream for. Um, I can't say enough good things about him. He wasn't there when I was born. He lived in Reading for a while, but when we got older, he moved to Eureka and lived with us, and so it's always been kind of cool to have both my brothers there, and I love them a lot. Even though they give me a bad time a lot, I don't mind it because that's what older brothers are supposed to do, but when it comes down to the nitty gritty, that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to give you a bad time, toughen you up, and make sure you're not messing up your life in any bad ways. And I love them a lot, so that means a lot to me. My parents, well, let's face it, without your parents, you're not here, right? My mom, she's really strong-willed. She'll do anything for us. She, really wants us to do good in life, and she is really an example of, you know, pursuing your dreams and making sure not to give up on yourself. When I was a kid, my mom worked hard in the hospitals, just doing whatever she could just so we could have something to eat. And she would always work hard, and she still works hard, and she would always, make sure we had something to eat, had some clothes. It wasn't the fancy clothes, but as long as we had what we needed, she knew that we could have a good life. She went back to school about when I was 12, and she went and got her registered nursing at College of the Redwoods. And she really, ever since then, she really makes sure that we want to pursue our dreams, because if she can do that and raise us and, have somewhat of a better life, that's something I look up to, because that just shows me no matter what age you are, what number you are, you can do whatever you want. And she's always, been an inspiration, and she's taken care of me since day one, from my very first chair to the chair I have now. She helps me get up in the morning. I tell her what I want to eat, tell her what I'm going to do for the day, and, I kind of have to make my life around that. But it's not that bad of a compromise, really. She does whatever she can for any of us. If we're in trouble, she'll help us. Although sometimes the trouble's not the best, she'll kind of guide us and tell us, you need to do this, otherwise this is going to happen, because I've experienced it. And, I can't say enough about my mom. I said a lot about her in the first chapter, but, she's very, very nice to people. She's very down to earth to people, and, I couldn't ask for a better mother. Growing up, I idolized my dad more than anybody in the world. I wanted to be just like him. I wanted to work on cars. I wanted to know what he knew about mechanics. I wanted to emulate him in every possible way. He didn't finish high school. He'd finished just short of it, and if he wanted to, he can go back and get his diploma, but he never has. I remember many times in the morning as a kid, he would get me ready for school, and he would always, talk about my school day. He would always be excited about what I was doing. He would always, no matter what, just be full of life about what my life was like during those young years. He was the first person that let me watch wrestling. I remember waiting for him to come home from one of his jobs as a chef, and we would watch Friday Night SmackDown on UPN, and it always started at midnight and got over at 2 a.m. My mom didn't like it. She would always come find us at 2 a.m. watching wrestling, and, we'd always be like, who's you think's gonna win, Dad? Who you think's gonna win? Or, we always picked our favorites every week, and that's one of my favorite memories, staying up late watching wrestling with them, no matter if it was SmackDown or Raw. but we always got raw videotaped from a friend of ours, which I'll talk about him in another chapter. But watching SmackDown with him every week was fun because that was our kind of a time to bond together, and he was always like that for my young childhood years, from about when I was born to about when I was 12. It was after when I was 12 or 13, I can't fully remember. It's not a happy time, but my parents got divorced, and I was really depressed because for many years I thought I was going to have the parents that, they always stuck together, but I didn't know about things like communication problems, all these sort of things that go into divorce and all that. And I remember being very sad. I remember going to a psychiatrist because I was, really messed up. I didn't want my dad to leave, and I wanted things to be like the same. But you can't always get what you want. And I remember going to a guy named Jerry Drucker. He doesn't practice now, I think, but he was a really good man. He got me to realize that life's gonna go on and it's gonna get better. You're gonna get older. You're gonna be able to do more things. I just remember being very sad about that time. And I was sad because my dad, he started to show a different side of himself. A side that I didn't see when I was a kid, I saw, him always kind of acting weird, and it was just weird. He just wasn't the same dad that I grew up idolizing. That I always told people that's my dad. I wasn't ashamed to say, that's my dad. But when I got older, he just changed, and I don't know how to say it because it always makes me sad, and I always want to cry, but I don't. It's just where things are today. They're not like it was when I was a kid. It's like we're really estranged, and it's really tough on me because my dad means a lot to me. If I could, I wish I could go back. Wish I could tell him, wish you could be like my old dad. And I'm sorry, I'm getting all emotional, but he meant a lot, and I know he still loves me and all that, but he just, it's really hard. That's what I'm trying to say, and I'm sorry for breaking down a little bit there, but it's just hard when you idolize someone and they show a completely different side when you get older. But I know deep down in my heart, he still loves me. It's just not the same, and I don't know if I want to go more in depth about that later, but it's just been tough ever since then. He showed a different side. It just was like he kind of took his old self and threw it away like in a garbage. You throw it away in a landfill and you forget about it. Other parts of my family, though, they've always been there. I have lots of cousins. If I tried to list them all, it would take me a whole nother day. But I have lots of cousins. I'm typically considered the favorite cousin. I don't know why, but I'm always considered my favorite cousins. And when they do come over, I'm always excited because I get to teach them positive things in life, and I get to teach them, how to be good people and how to treat people right. Because if you treat people right, I honestly feel that people will treat you the same, treat you fair and treat you respectfully. One of my favorite cousins, Nicole, she lives in Colorado. I'm teaching her Spanish now, but we've always been close. I always make sure she's doing okay, staying out of trouble, and this past summer she actually stayed with us for a whole month, and it was kind of cool because I was able to teach her some Spanish, but I was able to teach her life lessons too. I actually enjoyed going on the walks with her because we take our little dog Dora for a walk every day, so she stays in shape. And I remember doing that this past summer, and that was really fun to do. And she's really one of my favorite cousins. I love all my cousins. I should say that for the record, so I don't get beat up. But I love all my cousins. Another one of my cousins, Trinity. She's 12 now, but she's learning what it's like to grow up, and she's really into drawing. I mean, she's a great drawer. She'll draw anything you could pretty much think of. I mean, the detail she puts in drawing, it's really crazy. She draws anything and everything, and it's just really crazy the detail that they put into those drawings. Same goes with my cousin Morgan, she'll draw crazy drawings. Just a couple weeks ago, she drew a picture of me in my chair with every single detail. It was crazy. It was insane. And these girls have a shot at being in them art institutes you see on TV, and it's just crazy that they're so good at it in such a young age. I'm just so glad they found something they're really into. Um, my aunt, I have lots of aunts, but my aunt Marisa, she's my mom's sister. She's always making sure I'm safe. Making sure that I am, not getting into trouble. Kind of funny thing is, even though I'm 22, if she sees me post one bad word, she's like, "That's not you. You shouldn't do that." But of course, she wants me to stay young as possible forever, so that I don't grow up too fast. But I love her anyway and always, and I love all my family. And I wish I could, see everybody all the time, but I'd need like 6 of me to go see every one of my family, and just to know that my family is my fuel, and without them, life would surely suck. And I'm sorry if I left out a bunch of you. I want to actually make this a two-parter because this thing's been going on forever. So I'm going to come back for part 2 later. So I hope you guys enjoy part 1 of my family, and please leave comments. Thank you for listening. Have a good day. Bye.